Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is August 29th, 2024, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, JP Morgan, which we've been watching very carefully, trades to new all-time record highs. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So all day today, out of the European Union, we have from Germany a preliminary CPI number coming out, and then at 2:30 South African time, out of the United States, a preliminary GDP, gross domestic product number coming out. Now looking at the market, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pairs, really just a little bit of a retracement, and looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ pretty much unchanged. As we shift over to commodities, gold tops out while oil looks like it's bottoming out. And as we look at the stocks, NVIDIA, which had its corporate earning reports yesterday, forecasts lower and sends the stocks lower as well. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, we're chasing back to support. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go, first with the USD. And this one retraced just a little bit more. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's about 30 pips, but it's a retracement. And this is what I'd like to see. It's not the initial moves that I like to see. I like to see the counter reaction to the initial move. And this is going to be very important, okay? I would expect it to retrace somewhere between 110-ish level, okay, and 110.70-ish level, around there. But let's see if we do get that, because it's really important as this has gotten stronger. Remember, in 2 weeks, we can have an FOMC rate statement and then a refinancing rate from the European Union and also from Great Britain. So things are going to start cooking up when it comes to the Forex symbols. Now looking at the GBP USD, also a bit of a retracement, but still stronger. GBP reclaiming itself as the stronger pair versus the US dollar. Now lastly, let's take a look at the Australian dollar. Still holding on, okay? Did not retrace. This is super important. It's showing some strength here on the Aussie dollar as well. Now lastly, looking at Canadian dollar, it's on the brinks, okay? Also getting stronger versus US dollar, down from its 139 low down to 134. That was a huge opportunity because that was resistance-ish area. Very simple. Multi-time resistance area, didn't break above it. Could have made like 400 pips. That's a decent move, okay, for just the CAD. Now jumping into commodities, all right? Let's take a look at gold. Really just retracing here just a little bit. It's topped out here, okay? It's retracing at 25.16. If you look at crude oil, the opposite. It's bottoming out, okay? Hit its supportish level and jumping off of it at $74 a barrel. Then jumping into the US markets, and when you look at the broader markets, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, they didn't do really much, okay? To tell you the truth, I mean, we are on its highs when it comes to the Dow, and on the NASDAQ, we did get a little bit of a umph, even though NVIDIA did forecast lower moving forward. But if we look at the individual stocks, JP Morgan back to its all-time highs and then made a new high at 221. This is significant because remember, JP Morgan is the largest financial institution in the world, setting up the stage. And remember, they also do very well in these type of markets where inflation and interest rates are high. They're the ones that profit the most. So with that said, is this coming up to a potential top if the FOMC is going to decrease interest rates? Perhaps, okay, but something to consider as we're looking at this. Now, looking at the other big tech stocks, really didn't do much. Microsoft just hovering just lower a little bit on that 200-day moving average, okay, but still showing some weakness there. Okay, if we look at the other big names, Meta just retracing just a little bit. No big volume yesterday. But remember, we do have earning reports for Dell today. That's going to be an important event for Dell. And lastly, let's take a look at NVIDIA before we look at Bitcoin. NVIDIA did open up in after-hours trading at 116. So it's not really showing it here on the chart because it only shows us opening hours of the actual session of when it trades, but it actually is somewhere at this 116-ish level. If they're forecasting lower, even though they met their revenues or they beat their revenues, it's irrelevant, okay? However, this is a defensive move from NVIDIA, which means that if they forecast that it's going to be not going to be expected what is expected currently, then if they beat that, well, that's great news, right? So they're playing a defensive move here, and it should and looks kind of interesting how the stock will react to it. All right, so keep an eye on this later today. And Bitcoin just retracing back to its supporters level of 59. This was a congested area from before. It's not a major support area, but a support area nonetheless, so keep that in mind. So markets a little bit wavering as the markets are digesting this information from NVIDIA. And yes, we are towards the end of August, which is definitely a much lighter volume atmosphere. So keep that in mind as well. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.